Hey, this is Dragon, and this is an interview with DashFight. Online events, they happen, like every week, sometimes even multiple times a week, and it's really hard to kind of prepare in advance for something like that, because it's like, you have a tournament now and it's like, oh, here's another tournament in like 3 days. So it's really hard to prepare for those types of tournaments. But I would say for offline tournaments, since you have more of kind of an advance notice of knowing when the tournament's going to be and when it's going to happen, and maybe even like the path that you're going to have of the players you're going to play. When I know that, then I will kind of play the different characters that I know will be in my path. So like, let's say for example, I had Sonic Fox in my path. I would prepare for Joker and try to play some good Joker players to kind of prepare for that. Also, I like to study other players as well. So I'll go over like old match footage, like, from even months before, and kind of see like how they like to play, the tendencies they might have, different habits. Yeah, that's honestly, and just playing a lot. Over and over and over again, repetition. I think a lot of people do have a certain practice partner, like 1 or 2 people, but for me, not really. I would say usually my main practice partner would be Hayate, usually, but I would say recently, no, it's not been anyone in particular, no. Injustice 2, I definitely played less since I only played year 1, but MK11 I've been playing for about 2 years now, so that I probably put in on average maybe 6 hours a day. Before a tournament, I will put in anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. But on average, if you average everything, 6 hours a day, every day for 2 years for this game, and then 3 years for Injustice 2. So I don't know how much that would be counted up. Probably a lot. I normally don't live by regrets. I think, I kind of feel like everything, it's cliche, but I feel like everything does happen for a reason. And I feel like the way I have trained and the losses that I have taken because I didn't know how to train effectively, those losses have made me into the player I am today. So I really don't think I would change anything. Honestly, you can always say like, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that, but the losses that I've had and the training that I've had and the progression, I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be as good of a player as I am today if I hadn't had the exact basically timeline of how I went about things. I wouldn't be the same player. There were some, usually the tournaments that I have not participated in were events that are either overseas, or like, let's say there's a kind of like a pro tour where you have to acquire points during tournaments. If I've already acquired enough points and I want kind of a break, because I think breaks are really important for anything, I will not go to that tournament, and instead I'll just take a break and kind of like just get away from the game, get away from the atmosphere, get away from all the online stuff. And I think that's really important, and I think it's helped me a lot doing those types of things. But again, like I don't regret missing anything, because I don't think that's a good way to live. I think the FGC really embodies the community part of it. Like the FGC, it's all about community. I mean, I've talked with other players in other communities who are like kind of top players in their genres or games, and they always say it's not that same like tight-knit feel that you get with the FGC. I mean, you go to a tournament and everybody's talking with each other, everybody's hanging out, everyone shares the same passion as you, and it's really just a family, honestly. Or even first family, second family for some. Like, it's just great, and people are very accepting of just anyone. I mean, anyone enters the scene. It doesn't matter, what race you are, what sex you are, anything. It does not matter. People will accept you in the fighting game community, and I think that's the coolest part about it. The cool thing about the community is like you don't have to have like really there's no discrimination about anything. So it's not like you have to have these different types of like supportive things, because like everyone's the same, everyone's equal to most people. I mean, you'll always get, you know, one person, but for the most part, it's pretty accepting. I mean, I've done a couple LGBTQ events and different stuff like that. And again, you know, people who support me for that is almost everyone that I've, you know, been in contact with the FGC has been incredibly accepting. And, you know, maybe someone else has gotten the worser end of the stick, but for me, like, from my experience, I've just been accepted and supported every step of the way. You can't have one without the other, you know? I mean, there's always going to be good and bad and everything, but I feel like without the bad, you don't know the good, you know? So, I mean, there's a tons of nitpick things that I could pick, but I feel like it's a great community, honestly. Like, you know, I'm not someone who changes the community. I'm someone who embraces and supports the community rather than makes the change. And maybe that's something I could definitely do in the future, but right now I'm more of a supporter rather than like a leader and a changer in the community, actually. The FGC is on the lower end of kind of like esports as a whole. I mean, you know, you have like MOBAs and shooters, and you have all these other games that are, you know, doing pretty well in esports. And the FGC is still kind of like a little bit on the lower end ground. So I would hope that, you know, we get more support, more recognition, and just, you know, more love. That would be great. And I think as a community, we have a job as well to kind of build that up and kind of come together like, you know, we have. And I think we have gotten bigger. I mean, since, you know, the beginning. I mean, if you look back to the very beginning of fighting games and the fighting game community, we have gotten bigger. So I don't think that it's going to go down. I think in 5-10 years, it will definitely go up, and we'll be bigger and better. Fighting games when I was maybe 8 years old, honestly, and it was back, I played Soul Calibur 2. That was my first fighting game. And after that, I played tons of different other random fighting games like Street Fighter, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, and eventually I got into NRS Games with MKX in 2015. And NRS Games really clicked with me. I liked them a lot. Just the art style, the way the animations are, just the characters as well. Something just clicked with me. I don't know what it was, but something clicked, and that was my first game where I said, I wanna be competitive in this game, and I wanna go to tournaments because I loved the game that much, and I wanted to see, you know, if I was good or not, basically. And then I, you know, started going to tournaments, and, you know, the long story with the 5-6 years I've been in the scene now, and now I'm here today. Started at 8 years old. If I go away from fighting games, then story mode driven games is top. It's like, that's my favorite. You know, I think it's because I like story mode driven games better than multiplayer games. Like those are, well, it's fighting games first, but then if I go away from fighting games, then story mode driven games. So you could probably list any game and I will probably have played it and probably have liked it too. I mean, I did sports, but I was never any good at it. I mean, I played a bunch of things, and I never was any good at it and never liked it either, honestly. I played soccer, golf. I also was on a swim team. I did a bunch of random stuff, honestly. And I never really enjoyed it, honestly. Wasn't my thing. It did keep me fit, which I am definitely not in shape now that I'm a professional gamer pretty much, and I just press buttons for a living. But yeah, I don't think that kind of shaped me into who I am. Yeah, because like, yeah, sports was not my thing. Not at all. Not even a little bit. I enjoy being around friends as well. You know, with COVID, that's, you know, been really difficult to kind of do those types of things. But I would say those are my main hobbies besides, I mean, playing games. I mean, that's my career, but it's also my hobby as well. But yeah, just being with the people I love is what I enjoy the most outside of video games. Gur is definitely my best friend in all the FGC. I mean, everyone knows Gur is a great guy. Like, he's, you know, just you're the most wholesome dude. Like, you will not find better guy out there, honestly. He's a great guy, good friend. You haven't experienced a hug if you haven't gotten a Gur hug, honestly. Like, it's so true. I have a couple friends that I knew actually all the way back from kindergarten. So for about 20 years now, I've known them for, which is most of my life. So yeah, those are, I would consider my best friends outside the FGC. And I hang out with them a good amount, you know. I mean, with COVID again, it's been difficult. But yeah, I would say I don't know how I could go through life without real life friends, because with, you know, with FGC friends, you only see them, you know, when you go to tournaments, right? Because like most FGC people live kind of far away from each other. I mean, unless you get lucky and you know, it's like, hey, I live, you know, in this city, and it's like, oh, they do too. But yeah, most of the time it's not like that, so you kind of need real life friends too. But no, only one or two. I'm not a guy who wants to have like tons of friends, honestly. I like to keep it small. My family's always been supportive of me, which is kind of surprising. I feel like most families aren't supportive at first, and then they kind of build up to it, or maybe they're not supportive, they're just kind of indifferent. They're not one way or the other. But no, my parents were extremely supportive at the start. In fact, the first tournament I ever went to, I was 16 or 17, and paid for half, or they paid for the whole thing. Yeah, for like the all expenses, basically. They were like my sponsor, honestly. And then I started, you know, going to more tournaments, and I was starting to do better. And you know, they said we can no longer help you pay for half the tournaments. Like, you're winning money at these, you're gonna pay for the whole thing. But honestly, I'm so thankful for them, because I wouldn't be here without that support. I mean, I just wouldn't. I didn't have any money. Like, I couldn't have done that at all. Best sponsor I ever had, hands down. I mean, I've had many sponsors, and Beast Coast is just like, yeah, they really are like a family. It's very like close, and they're very active in the way that they interact with their players, and they have like, okay, this is our plan, this is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna grow together. Like, they really get into it, instead of kind of being like super passive and just letting things happen the way they happen. They're very active, and they try to get things done, and very supportive as well, just like you know, my parents were and still are. Yeah, I'm lucky with everything I have. Shout outs to Beast Coast, of course, my sponsor. Amazing, supportive, awesome. Also shout outs to my fans as well, you know, for all of them supporting. And shout outs to also all the fans of MK, not even just me. You know, if you're not a fan of me, that's okay. But if you're a fan of MK and you're a fan of the FGC, I mean, you're supporting and you're helping everyone live their dreams. So just keep on supporting, guys. Thank you.